Sometime changes comes not in the first round, second round, third or fourth. Changes start with one person questioning, challenging, speaking up and doing something to make a difference. We can each make a difference because each one of us is already part of the community where racism exists and thrives, which has been said by Paul Kivel. Many professions commonly used abbreviations to doctor, accountant and many basketball players. The letter MRI, GAP and ERA need no explanation. Economics is no different. Economists use many abbreviations. One of the most common is GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product. It is often cited in newspaper, on the television news and in reports by the government, central government, banks and the business community. It has become widely used as a reference point for the health of national and global economies. When GDP is growing, especially if inflation is not a problem, worker and business are generally better off than when it is not. Now the point is from GDP to GDKP. The gross domestic knowledge product takes a different approach to measuring a nation growth and future. GDKP addresses all the Commission criticism of GDP by establishing a new form of measurement. GDKP provides a fundamental measure of growth by including a wide range of factors that involve the creation and accumulation of knowledge, the key international factor measuring wealth in the digital era. GDKP creates a comparable measure of the production of individual wealth based on knowledge which count not only for evaluating the future wealth of individual but also their contribution to the wealth of their country. GDKP creates an optimal capital investment measure for private companies in knowledge rather than in other form of capital investments. Now the point is what exactly the gross domestic product knowledge is and how it has been propounded. So the idea of GDKP was propounded by Professor Umberto Salfazzo of Center for Digital Future of Annabone School of University of Southern California. The gross domestic knowledge product measure a nation growth and future through four basic pillars. Knowledge item, where identification of both modern and local distinct culture knowledge items in distinct categories. Then we have country knowledge product matricing, we call it as CKPM. So the comparison of knowledge produced by government, private institution and household as a differentiated ways to impact on GDP. Third is country knowledge user metrics, we call it as CKUM, the value of knowledge both by individual and private company as a way to measure their modernization efforts. The cost of learning, which is similar to the cost of living, to be used as a potential reference for government budgeting decisions through education, family bonds, education credit cards, etc. to support young citizens. Now the point is what are the GDKP measures? The value of objects that are considered standard knowledge item available in the world that are also produced in that country. These standard knowledge items include production of newspaper, schools, patent, teaching and a wide range of digital items. The value of specific knowledge item related to national culture produced in a specific country and how this item changes over time. In India, for example, these specific knowledge items include the proliferation of culture and religious teaching, yoga, Veda and dance school, religious festival and harvest festival. The diffusion of knowledge item within the total population as a tool to evaluate future growth. So the multiple effects of digital knowledge distribution on the population over time, fiber optic cable, learning platform, satellite and other digital education tools. So the comparison of knowledge produced by government, private institution and household as a differentiated ways to impact on GDP to to elaborate on country knowledge producing metrics. The value of knowledge produced by both by individual as a measure of individual perception of modern way to produce wealth. The value of knowledge acquired by private companies as a way to measure their modernization efforts, which is reflected in country knowledge user metrics. The cost of learning for individual as a political reference for government budgeting decisions to support young citizens. The cost of investing in knowledge for sectors of the economy as a government project budgeting decision to favor fiscal policy to modernize a country. So, the point is, I already explained to you the various GDKP measure. Now, what is the result of this GDKP measure is? So, because knowledge is by far the most strategic element for globalization in information technology revolution and the digital economy. We are living in the digital world and data is coming from various spheres. So, the GDKP provide measure of the factor that contribute to country's knowledge. GDKP can play a growing role in appreciating potential economic growth. GDKP will define the multiplier effect of budgeting spending on GDP sector of a national economy, agriculture, service and other sectors. In addition, GDKP will provide investor with data for security analysis of stock exchange and will create a total new risk evaluation of international financing useful for World Bank, IMF and other big financial institutions. Now the point is what GDKP is for India. GDKP will allow calculation of the value of specific knowledge item related to national culture produced and how these items changes over time. In India, these specific knowledge items include the proliferation of culture and religious teaching, religious festival and harvest festival. It also facilitates the creation of national knowledge education platform. It will also enhance GDP and the proper role of private investment with direct benefits to the Indian economy like software, publishing, etc. So, I am sure this step is going to be a forward step to increase the economy of the country. So, this is all about GDP to GDKP. Thank you.